Hey, so today I'm gonna try to paint Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. It's already primed, I built it. I'll be honest, building the model itself was fun. Putting this standard, I didn't get as annoyed since maybe Shuri's Gauntlet, so it's been a while. But now the painting, the fun part is gonna start, so I'll walk you through and we'll start with the first colors. Mighty Thor. So the first color I'm gonna apply is gonna be in Kubi Darkness. I'm using the Citadel Paints, and that pretty much only gonna go on two places, but I'm starting from the bottom. It's gonna be harder to reach underneath it later. So it's the color of her pants. That's pretty much it. So you go over her legs, and if you're gonna go out of lines, if you're gonna go out, you can always come back to fix everything, but first color is pretty easy. You just apply, just make sure it's watered down and apply like two layers. And do not try to apply next coat if paint is drying already, because it's gonna give you marks and you want the color to be applied smooth. And also another portion is gonna be hammer hand wrap, I think that's what it's called. All this material right here, that will be our dark color. We're not gonna go with pure black on this one because it's supposed to have that bluish tint to it, so it's gonna be a little bit darker. It's still black, but not as pronounced like a button black and Citadel. And I'll get back when I'll finish applying all of this color. So Jane has this Kubi Darkness already applied. One location which I forgot to tell you to paint was that piece of fabric right over her left arm. There is also that in Kubi Darkness that's gonna go there, but now we're gonna go to next paint. So next color on Jane, it's going to be Red Bircher, which is the Citadel Metallic that I'm using. I'm pretty much using only Citadel paints because that's how I started. So we're gonna go over helmet and all the metallic pieces like Mjolnir. The belt we're gonna come back to because there is just easier gonna be go range and then come back to Leadbircher later. Bottom part of boots, and pretty much we'll come back once I have metallics applied. And we put the metal over the greaves, over the armor of her body, helmet and Mjolnir, and we're gonna go to the next color, which should be pretty easy. Next color on Jane is gonna be Morphin Fang. We're gonna use that pretty much on her tunic right in front, so we're gonna cover all those sections right there. We'll also do it on her leg straps and another leather piece, which I believe there is nothing else on the model. I'll come back at the end if I forget about any piece of this. Pretty much done with Jane. All this tunic on the bottom, that's the lighter brown, and behind, and also leg straps, and that's pretty much the entire Morphang that goes right in. Next color on Jane is gonna be pretty quick and simple. It's gonna be Rhinox Hide, which is pretty much just gonna go on to this big belt right in the front. That's gonna be the dark brown that's gonna be in there, and then we're gonna later do the silver in front of it. Okay, so quick belt is done on Jane, and we're gonna move to the next color. We're gonna apply our color to skin, so arms and her face. Jane's arms are painted, her face is painted, and now we're gonna move to the next color. So since this is Jane's Thor reincarnation, we're gonna go and use red pretty much only on the cape. There is no other element with red, so be careful not to go on the inside. All that painted already in, but it should go smooth. The brown tunic is pretty much the hardest part to get from the side. Okay, Jane's cape is done. There is a lot of like inner parts, so be careful when painting her, so you don't have to touch up, but we're gonna go to the next color. We are getting close to being done, at least for the like a tabletop ready. So now we're gonna go with yellow, which is only gonna go pretty much on her hair and nowhere else. So we're gonna paint all the hair like on her back. Jane hair is done. we're gonna go and then start doing smaller details, touch up few things, but otherwise we're almost there. We need to touch up Jane with Leadbircher now a little bit. So the belt, all these gems are supposed to be like a, gems, whatever that is. All these pieces in the middle are supposed to be metallic. So we're gonna go over them and we're gonna quickly go to the next color. So now we'll be Retributor Gold, which is for that middle piece right there. And that's the only piece of gold that she gets. We're going to paint the lighting on Jane carefully without touching any other colors. And we can say we're approaching the end, which should be close. So blue is the last basic color. We could leave it like that, call it tabletop ready and just walk away, but there is a simple step that we can add and which is gonna make the miniature pop a little bit more. And I'll show it to you in a quick minute. We're gonna apply Nuln oil over her entire chest, armor, helmet and Mjolnir. Go pretty heavy on this, let it fill all the grooves and we're gonna go after that to the next. So Nuln oil is on, it fills her helmet groove pretty nicely and the bracer and shoes. So we're gonna go to the next color. Okay, we're gonna apply the skin tone, Breakland Flesh skin tone to all the wraps on her legs. Then we're gonna do the tunic and all her skin tone. Be generous, let it flow, and I'll see you in the few minutes. You can see all the muscles, especially on the skin and then her tunic and then wraps. It shows all the recesses, how it filled in, and the muscles and hands look pretty beautiful. Same with her. And we'll go back to the other side. Yep. Now we're getting to the cape, so apply generously, fill everything on her back and on the front, just get into wherever you feel comfortable. Remember, you don't have to paint places which can't be seen. So shade on Jane and her cape is done. That was last shade that we're going to be using on this miniature. And I would say this is pretty good standard of tabletop quality that I like to do, but I usually go further and next steps are personal preference. I'm gonna go and do all the highlights and make colors even. We got Jane and we got Mephiston Red, so we need to fix all her cape. So we're gonna go and avoid the recesses and we're gonna fit the inside. So as you can see, I'm applying the color in there, leaving the going over the raised parts only. That's gonna give you that cloak shade where the folds are, and you do it on both sides. Like that. We finished Jane's cape, so you can see lights and dark reds over her cape, and we're gonna go to the next color. So we're gonna go over Jane's hair, like go between these individual strands to give her that typical hair texture. So you have to go one by one, and that's gonna allow you to create those nice looking textures over her hair, like this. We got Jane's hair done. The female miniature is pretty much with long or any long hair miniature. You always want to do the hair because that makes the miniature pop. As you can see, between the dark and yellow, it now makes the waves come out really alive. With Jane, we're gonna now do her skin. So you're gonna start with arms. Make sure all those raised muscles are lighter, and that's gonna make the skin really pop, make it look like a natural musculature between the shades and everything else. And then do her face very carefully, and that's gonna give you that contrast right there. So something like this, like you can see on the arm, now this is making it pop up against the other color. We did the arms. You can see the muscles popping up pretty nicely on her skin. Same with her face and her between her fingers and her fist. So you can see all the shades in there. Okay, with Morphin Brown, we now gonna go again. We're gonna go over the tunic pieces. So we're gonna go over the raised parts and we're gonna clean that up from inside and from outside. So you're gonna raise up and leave the recessed parts darker. We cleaned up the tunic. As you can see, you can still see recesses in there and the darker colors, and we also did the leg wraps, so it's gonna give a nicer contrast on the miniature itself. We're gonna go with our highlights. So we'll go and take the Evo Sun Reds, the Evo Sun Scarlet, and we're gonna go over the raised parts and we're gonna do small lines right over it to show more detail and so a little bit more contrast, like this. So it's gonna show you those small lines right there, and that's gonna be the contrast at the edges. We did the highlight of the cape, so you can see the raised pieces contrast slightly more. And now we're gonna do the next highlight. We're gonna go over Jane's tunic, the darker one, right in the front, and we're gonna highlight all the edges in the front. That's gonna make it pop and show those material folds on her. Just go over, fix if anything comes out, and do some right on the front. That's gonna give you nice looking contrast right there. And the miniature is gonna start getting a little bit of detail. You can see them popping up slightly. We done the cloth pieces, leg pieces, all the material pieces on Jane. So now with this we are going to do a little bit of highlights on the tunic, and we're gonna call her done. So for the tunic highlights, I'm gonna use the color called Wasdaka Red, and it's gonna go over same thing, ridges, slight contrast over it, and it's gonna blade nicely with browns. And once that is done, your edge right there. And after that, we're gonna call her done. And we did a little bit of highlights on those edges and her leg wraps. And we're gonna call her done. Now we're gonna just do a base. So we're done with the miniature. I just finished doing the base. I did them very simple. It's literally mechanical standard gray with Argax Earthshade going right over it. And miniature, I would call it done.